Welcome back to yet another discussion on some of the most important history topics that could find their way to your 2024 prelims examination. This video discusses a crucial topic related to the position of the person you see on screen. Okay, we're going to discuss something related to the position of the person you see on screen. Yes, you guessed it right. We are going to discuss the controversy surrounding the first Prime Minister of India. First, let us look at the context of this controversy. We all know that the elections are going on at full swing in the country. There's no dearth of excitement created by the politicians. In that vein, Kangana Ranaut, the BJP candidate from Mandi constituency in Himachal Pradesh, has raked in the controversy about India's first Prime Minister. So here we go with the headlines. Kangana Ranaut says Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was independent India's first Prime Minister. Netizens react. Kangana Ranaut defends her Subhash Chandra Bose was first Prime Minister of India comment with proof. Nehru, Bose or Maulana Barkatullah, who was India's first Prime Minister? In a recent interview, actress turned politician Kangana Ranaut claimed that Subhash Chandra Bose, not Jawaharlal Nehru, was India's first Prime Minister. What did she mean? So I shall take this moment to explain to you about the crux of this controversy. Okay, I'll explain the crux of this controversy. So the statement made by Kangana Ranaut in a recent interview has basically stirred a significant amount of controversy and debate in India. So traditionally, Jawaharlal Nehru has been recognized as India's first Prime Minister, having served for 17 long years from 1947 to 1964. So now Kangana Ranaut comes forward in an interview and challenges this widely accepted notion and asserts that Subhash Chandra Bose, a prominent figure in India's struggle for independence, should be considered the country's first Prime Minister. So in support of her claim, Ranaut points to the provincial government established by Bose in 1943. So this government was formed in Singapore. Okay, Bose formed this government in Singapore, and this government had its own ministers, departments, and they even had their own constitution. Okay, so the provisional government of Subhash Chandra Bose, known as the Azad Hind Fauj, was aimed at combating British colonial rule and gaining independence for India. So while Bose's provisional government was not widely recognized by other countries and its influence was limited, Ranaut argues that it should still be acknowledged as the foundation for India's government post-independence. So if you see critics, they argue that the provincial government had limited reach and authority, and that Nehru's appointment as Prime Minister by the Indian National Congress after independence represents the official and recognized transition of power. Okay, so this controversy surrounding Kangana's claim has sparked discussions about historical narratives, interpretations, and the role of different leaders in India's struggle for independence. Okay, so the public debate has also brought attention to the complex and nuanced views on India's political history and the divergent perspectives within the country. Okay, so this is the context, this is the crux of the controversy. So now, you know what happened after all this, Kangana backtracked. Okay, and she came up with this because first time when she basically spoke about this, she bluntly said that Subhash Chandra Bose was India's first prime minister, and that led to netizens reacting sharply against her. Now, she came forward with a defense stating that Subhash Chandra Bose had initiated the provincial government, which must be recognized as India's first government. Okay, that's the whole idea. Now, I think it will be prudent for me to explain about Azad Hind Fauj, the provincial government that was proclaimed by Bose. Okay, Azad Hind Fauj government. Okay, so if you see, Subhash Chandra Bose declared the establishment of the provincial government of Azad Hind. Azad Hind means Free India in Singapore on October 21st of 1943. So this Azad Hind government asserted its authority over Indian civilian and military personnel in British Southeast Asian colonies such as Burma, Singapore, and Malaya that had come under Japanese control during the Second World War. Okay, so to confer legitimacy upon his government, similar to how Charles de Gaulle claims sovereignty over certain islands in the Atlantic for the Free French Bose selected the Andaman Islands. Okay, so the Azad Hind government gained de jure control over a portion of Indian territory when the Japanese handed over the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in late December 1943, although the Japanese Admiralty retained de facto military control. Okay, additionally, the government granted citizenship to Indians residing in Southeast Asia, and approximately 30,000 expatriates in Malaya pledged allegiance to it. Okay, so this is the backdrop of the government that was initiated by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, but who are the ones who recognize this Azad Hind government of Subhash Chandra Bose? Who are the ones? So if you see, Subhash Chandra Bose Azad Hind government received diplomatic recognition from the Axis powers, including Germany, Japan, and Italy. Okay, they were known as the Axis powers during the Second World War. Okay, so they also received their recognition from Nazi and Japanese puppet states. Who are these puppet states? Like Croatia, China, Thailand, Burma, Manchuria, and the Philippines. These were the puppet states of the Japanese and Nazi regimes. So they also recognized this Azad Hind government. Okay, because this Azad Hind government itself was established by seeking the support of the Axis powers. Okay, so this recognition meant that these countries, along with their puppet states, officially acknowledged the existence and legitimacy of the Azad Hind government. Okay, so following its formation, the Azad Hind government declared war on Britain and the United States. So by declaring war, this government sought to actively oppose and fight against British colonial rule in India, which had been supported by the British and United States. Okay, so what did this declaration of war symbolize? It symbolized the Azad Hind government's resistance and determination to attain independence for India. Okay, so this is the backdrop. But as Kangana claims, is it the first provincial government? To say it in the words of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, definitely not. Okay, it was not the first provincial government. Okay, that's what she claims, but that's not the case here. So if you see, the provincial government of India, the first provincial government of India was established in Kabul by the Indian Independence Committee 28 years before the Azad Hind government came into existence. Okay, so this Indian Independence Committee, with the support from Ottoman Caliph and the Germans, aimed to incite rebellion in India, particularly among Muslim tribes in Kashmir and northwestern frontier of British India. Okay, that was the idea. Okay, so if you see, under the leadership of Raja Mahendra Pratap as president and Maulana Barkatullah as prime minister, the Indian Independence Committee formed a government in exile in Kabul. So both leaders were revolutionary freedom fighters who spent years outside India gathering international support for Indian independence. Okay, so they gathered international support for Indian independence. So if you see, Barkatullah was also one of the founders of the Ghadar movement. Okay, Ghadar movement, which originated in California in 1913. So all these movements functioned with the sole goal of overthrowing British rule in India. And this Lala Hardayal, another leader of the Ghadar movement, presented a plan of action for the Ghadarites. Okay, so although the Ghadar movement was suppressed in India by the end of the First World War, its impact on both Indians and the British was significant. So the formation of Kabul provincial government was one of the strategic moves orchestrated by Ghadarite revolutionaries in their pursuit of Indian independence. Okay, so Kangana Ranaut cannot claim that Subhash Chandra Bose initiated the first provincial government before independence. It was in 1915. So even going by her argument, we can recognize only Maulana Barkatullah as India's first prime minister. Okay, not Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, so now who was this Maulana Barkatullah? So if you see, Maulana Barkatullah was also known as Muhammad Barkatullah Bhopali. Okay, he was an Indian revolutionary who hailed from Bhopal. Okay, he was an Indian revolutionary who hailed from Bhopal. So during his time in England, he developed close connections with Lala Hardayal and Raja Mahendra Pratap, This Raja Mahendra Pratap was the son of the Raja of Hathras. Okay, so Barkatullah not only became friends with Afghan Emir, but also served as the editor of the Kabul newspaper Siraj-ul Akbar. Okay, he was the editor of the Kabul newspaper Siraj-ul Akbar. And he played a pivotal role in the founding of the Ghadar party in 1913 in San Francisco. California as in San Francisco. Okay, and then later on, sorry, San Francisco is in California. Okay, so later on, Barkatullah assumed the position of the first Prime Minister of the Provincial Government of India, and this Provincial Government of India was established on the 1st December 1915 in Kabul. Okay, and the first president of that provincial government was Raja Mahendra Pratap. Okay, so this is about Maulana Barkatullah. A question could be asked about this particular person as well. And we have to keep one thing in mind. Acts of defiance and political necessity cannot account for actual governments. If you see, political governments and governments in exile are often established by resistance movements to gain political legitimacy. Okay, so the central Tibetan administration in Dharamshala is an example of government in exile challenging the Chinese occupation of Tibet. In fact, Dalai Lama came here in 1959. It's been 65 years. Still he's here. Okay, running a government in exile, seeking political legitimacy. So this central Tibetan administration maintains a parallel government claiming to represent the will of the Tibetan people, resisting repression and government-sponsored migration. So the 1915 and 1943 provisional governments were symbolic acts against British rule in India, serving political purposes. So if you see, Subhash Chandra Bose proclaimed the Azad Hind government to legitimize the armed struggle against the British, giving his army international recognition as a duly constituted government. That was the main purpose. So the citizenship oaths taken by Azad Hind Fauj officers were presented as evidence of legality during the Red Fort trials, which happened subsequently after the Second World War. The Kabul provisional government was established to demonstrate the seriousness of the Indian Independence Committee's intentions, seeking support from the Afghan Emir amidst British pressure. They had their own purposes for formation. The Kabul government in exile even reached out to the Soviets in 1917, posing a potential threat near India's border to the British. Okay, so you cannot simply say that these provisional governments were actual governments. They were formed for political legitimacy, okay, to legitimate their claim for the independence of India, okay, to legitimize their claim for independence of India. So now there are certain reasons why they are not actual governments. So if you see, the provisional government of both Azad Hind, that is Subhash Chandra Bose, and the Kabul government did not receive widespread international recognition. Okay, both these governments did not recognize widespread international recognition. The countries that did recognize and support them often did so for their own strategic and political motives. For example, the Axis powers, they supported the Azad Hind government because they were against the British. Subhash Chandra Bose was against the British. So they saw a common way in that, so they supported. Okay, so the support for these governments quickly disappeared after the British emerged victorious in world wars. So neither of these governments had full control over Indian territory. Okay, although Subhash Chandra Bose officially held Andaman Islands, they were still under Japanese occupation and control. Similarly, the territory briefly captured by the combined Indian and Japanese armies in northeast remained under Japanese control. Okay, so the Kabul government, despite its existence on paper, never set foot on Indian soil, and it remained largely symbolic until its dissolution in 1919. It was just a symbolic government. They never came to India as well. Okay, so these are the reasons why these provincial governments cannot become actual governments. So now let us look into the allied areas you will touch upon when you're coming through this news article. Okay, so when I talk about the allied areas, we have to study the role played by Subhash Chandra Bose in India's freedom struggle. That's the allied area for this topic. So we're going to completely look at all those developments that happened in the Indian independence movement courtesy Subhash Chandra Bose. So you'll have to first be adept with his association with C.R. Das. Okay, so Subhash Chandra Bose had also been jailed along with C.R. Das. He was uh, his political mentor or guru, because when C.R. Das was elected as the mayor of Calcutta Corporation, he nominated Bose as the chief executive. Okay, so that was the proximity that both these leaders shared with one another. You're supposed to know that. And then, if you see, as a youngster, Subhash Chandra Bose organized and promoted trade union movements. In 1930, he was elected mayor of Calcutta. The same year, he was elected the president of the All India Trade Union Congress as well. Okay, and then we have to study the association with Congress, which was little bit of a bittersweet experience for him. So he stood unqualified, and he stood for unqualified Swaraj, and he opposed Motilal Nehru report, which spoke for dominion status for India. Okay, and then if you see, Bose participated in Salt Satyagraha of 1930, and he opposed the suspension of civil disobedience movement, and he was also against the Gandhi-Irwin Pact in 1931. And in the 1930s, Bose was closely associated with left politics in the Congress along with Jawaharlal Nehru and M.N. Roy. Okay, so because of the endeavor of the left group, the Congress passed very far-reaching radical resolutions in the Karachi session of 1931, which declared the main Congress aim as socialization of means of production besides guaranteeing fundamental rights. Okay, this is something that you have to study. And then another area you're supposed to concentrate on with regard to Bose is his presidency of the Congress. So Bose won the Congress presidential elections at Haripura in 1938. Next year at Tripuri, he again won the presidential election against Gandhi's candidates Pattabi Sitaramaya. So that can several times be a question on who was the candidate who opposed Subhash Chandra Bose in the 1939 Tripuri session. So it is Pattabi Sitaramaya. So due to ideological differences with Gandhi, Bose left Congress and founded a new party called the Forward Bloc. Okay, the purpose of the Forward Bloc was to consolidate the political left and major support base in his home state, Bengal. And then discuss about his stand with regard to the civil disobedience movement. When World War II began, he was again imprisoned for participating in civil disobedience, and he was put under house arrest. Then you have to revise Indian Legion. So Bose founded the Free India Center in Berlin and created the Indian Legion out of the Indian prisoners of war who had previously fought for the British in North Africa prior to their capture by Axis forces. Even in Europe, Bose sought help from Hitler and Mussolini for the liberation of India. So if you see, in Germany, he was attached to the Special Bureau for India, which was responsible for broadcasting on the German-sponsored Azad Hind radio. So on this radio, Bose on 6 July 1944 addressed Mahatma Gandhi as the father of the nation. 6 July 1944 in Azad Hind radio, he had addressed Gandhi as the father of the nation. Another important point to keep in your mind. And then now another important topic with regard to Bose is the Indian National Army. Okay, so Bose reached Japanese-controlled Singapore from Germany in July 1943, issued from there his famous call, Delhi Chalo, and announced the formation of the Azad Hind government and the Indian National Army on the 21st of October 1943. So the INA was first formed under this person named Mohan Singh and Japanese Major Iwachi Fujiwara, and it comprised Indian prisoners of war of the British Indian Army captured by Japan in the Malayan campaign and at Singapore. Okay, so that's something that you will keep in your mind with regard to this Indian National Army. There were huge Indian National Army INA trials after the Second World War. So that's another area that you will lay emphasis on and concentrate. And then talking about his death, we all know that there was a great amount of controversy surrounding his death. Till now, there is a mystery that shrouds his untimely demise. Many people say that he died due to a plane crash. Some people have conspiracy theories like he went on to live for many more years after 1945. So till now, we don't have a clarity about what actually happened to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, so with that said, now it's time for us to look at a few questions. Who is known as the political guru of Subhash Chandra Bose? Chittaranjan Das, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Mahatma Gandhi, Vivekananda. We just now saw his political guru was Chittaranjan Das. Okay. Which of the following books is not written by Subhash Chandra Bose? Letters to Emily Schenkel, 1934 to 42. An Indian Pilgrim. Chalo Delhi, Writings and Speeches, 1943 to 1945. None of these. Okay, 1943 to 1945. None of these. Okay. In fact, the correct answer is none of these. Subhash Chandra Bose literally did not write any of these works. Okay, he literally did not write any of these works, but his writings were compiled to form many of the works that you see here in the options. Okay, all these were a compilation of his writings. Okay, all these were a compilation of his writings. The next question, consider the following statements. Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh was a freedom fighter who is popularly known as Aryan Peshwa. Subhash Chandra Bose was a nationalist leader who was famously called Prince Among Patriots by Jawaharlal Nehru. Which of the above statements is correct? If you see, only the first statement is correct. Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh was a freedom fighter who is popularly known as Aryan Peshwa. Okay, so recently the foundation stone for Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh State University was laid in Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh. So this Mahendra Pratap Singh only was the first president of the provincial government that was initiated in Kabul. And if you see, Madan Mohan Malviya was a noted scholar, reformer and politician who was famously called Prince of Beggars by Gandhi. Okay, so he is known as Mahanama. Okay, he is known as Mahamana. Madan Mohan Malviya, Prince of Beggars. That's the term used by Gandhi to address him, which is, he was also known as Mahamana. Bhagat Singh was a famous revolutionary who is also known as the Prince of Martyrs. Okay, so he is also referred to as Shahid-e-Azam. And coming to Subhash Chandra Bose, he was a nationalistic leader and he was famously called Prince Among Patriots by Gandhi and not Nehru. Okay, so that's why the second statement is wrong. Fine. So that's it from our discussion for the day. For aspirants taking up prelims 2024, we have covered most of these topics in our Lakshya 2024 program. You can go through them by following the link in the description. For laying your hands on our Optima cards, you can contact the number in the bottom of the cards. So we run a current affairs session in weekends. So for up-to-date knowledge on important current developments, you can join our weekend sessions as well. So for more such videos, please do support us, like our videos, subscribe them, and reap the benefits of top-notch knowledge. Thank you so much for listening patiently all this while. Have a great day.